Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the 360 Sports Show. I am Andrew Pizzelli. He is Christian Lauber, and we are coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can reach us anytime in the comment sections of any of those live streams, or you can always email us at the360sportshow@gmail.com. Lots to get into. Christian, I say we start first with two things that we gross negligence, oversight, but granted, we were rather flustered at the end of the show last week because of power outages and lightning storms. So us rushing to the finish line last week made us forget to discuss these two items. And we'll start first with what is obviously a tremendous loss, the passing of Bill Russell, an absolute legend, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest winners of all time in competitive sports, champion. The list of adjectives and superlatives could go on and on and on for Bill Russell. And add on top of that, one of the greatest laughs of all time. He will be missed. His presence will be missed in the NBA. You can't even... We could not, in this show tonight, discuss enough about what he meant to the NBA, to its current players still, with what he did breaking barriers and all the stuff he had to go through. Just an incredible person, human. And, yeah, I mean, it's all inevitable, but another tough loss for the world of sports, and especially for those who were lucky enough to see him play, one of the greatest athletes in Boston in sports history.
Yeah, considering the time that he played in as well. So, not only on the court, but off of it. So, yeah, just an incredible person, like you said. One of the all-time greats. The NBA is doing the right thing by retiring his number 6, with the exception of players that are wearing it now, which is what it is. But retiring that number is, I think, the right move, because I think he's just kind of one of the iron standards and the gold standards in the game of all time, really. I mean, it's even in all of sport, really, when you think about it. He's up there on the Mount Rushmore in terms of all sports, not just basketball. So he's definitely up there for me. And yeah, incredible laugh, like you said. If you want some laughs, just YouTube Bill Russell moments with Kevin Garnett and just Charles Barkley. The list goes on and on. But yeah, just a terrific all-timer.
Yeah. I mean, and so many of those guys from that era get forgotten. You know, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain not as much, but I mean, the Oscar Robertsons, the Elgin Baylors. I mean, Bill Russell was not an offensive guy. Defense was his hallmark. And unfortunately, we don't keep stats, a lot of stats from back then, but it's reported that he blocked 50-something shots in a game. Now, I know you've brought up in the past, great segue, yeah, but look who he's going against. Plumbers and farmers, and I don't care. 50 blocks in a game, it does not matter.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. That was, someone said, JJ Redick said that.
Yeah, but we. Oh, come on! You really gonna force me to pull tape on you right now, Christian? Because
I've said the championships. Sure, like the amount of championships might be like a little bit over the top because of the era and what teams they were playing against. It's not like it is today with the star-studded talent. But I mean, that doesn't take away from him being an all-time great.
Okay, just checking there. It's kind of, I mean, what do you think now? I mean, he's one of those guys, one of those last few remaining guys who played during that era. I mean, we lose more and more of these guys. every year. What's going to happen to that era of the game? Like, how, as we go further, how, like, kind of what you just alluded to, like, you kind of devalue the championships. I don't think we're ever going to see somebody win 11 championships. I mean, and then to be a champion the way he was in high school and in college and then in the pros, I don't think we'll ever see anybody win that much at a professional level ever, right? Again?
No, I mean, devaluing is probably the wrong word, because I think for the time it's still incredible. Don't get me wrong, but like if you put those guys in today's game, I don't think they're winning as much, but he's still probably winning 5. You know what I mean? So back then it was a little bit less competitive as it is now. Granted, there's a lot of like super teams and all that stuff now. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can compare guys. I think Bill Russell is still, like, if you put Tom Brady versus Bill Russell in terms of all-time sports, I think a lot of people will side with Tom Brady because he did it for 20 years over different periods of time there and different game. But Michael Jordan, same thing, right? So people are going to put LeBron James ahead of Michael Jordan, and everybody's going to, have their own opinion on this. But when you look at it, I just think those guys still, for the time, what they did, especially a guy like Bill Russell, I mean, to win that much is just ridiculous, no matter what era you play in.
And then being named head coach by Red Auerbach for his final year and winning one in LA, like that's also a crazy accomplishment too. Here's the one thing I always kind of think about, though. Like, people say, like, oh, Bill Russell, Kevin McHale, these guys, Larry Bird, he couldn't play nowadays. I don't know. You give Bill Russell today's like training, both like in sports medicine breakthroughs. I think that guy would be every bit as dominant. How dominant do you think Wilt would be if he was like born in 1990? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, my only point is, like, I think if you put those Celtics teams with Russell on them nowadays, they probably don't win 10, 12 times, but they win. What do you want to say? 6 to 8 times? Like, they could go back and forth between whatever the greatest team of this era, one of the Tim Duncan Spurs teams or the Warriors or some team like that. But for what they did in their era, still incredible. And for guys like nowadays to say, oh, those guys couldn't play nowadays, I don't agree with that. I think they might not win as many titles as they did back in the day because the competition wasn't as steep. But they still had to go through something back then, especially like the Lakers Celtics battles. Those are all timers. So saying that like Larry Bird couldn't play in today's game, I just disagree with. Or Bill Russell couldn't play in today's game, he wouldn't be as good. I just disagree with that.
Yeah, because, like, all right, sure, you take a guy who's like doesn't have a jump shot and can't do this and that. They're like a strict big man, and you take him out of the 60s and drop him in the 2010s. Yeah, they're gonna look out of place. But and you can't do that. You can't compare people that way.
I also think if you want to take like a 2000 era player into the 1960s, they're not going to get the foul calls. They might get punched in the face, and they're not going to like it. So I don't know. It goes both ways.
Exactly. So like that's where I kind of look at it. Like, there has to be a give and take there. Yeah, you couldn't take them as they were and just drop them like they were in a time machine in today's day and age. But if that person with their abilities then was given today's advantages in terms of like training since they were like 5 years old, younger, and sports medicine and all this other sort of stuff, I'm pretty sure they would be highly successful as well. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, we also had another big loss in the sports world. Vin Scully, who was 3,297 years old. No. The longtime broadcaster for the Dodgers, in the sports broadcasting world, an absolute legend, and did it till the end. I mean, basically.
Born in the Bronx, too.
Yeah,
New York.
And just kind of he was old school, but never, like, not cool. You know what I mean? Like, there was never, like, oh, God, this guy's still going. Like, when do they get, like, everyone loves Vince Scully. And what I've always loved about Vince Scully is that I think anything could be happening during a game, and he stays, like, on point. Like, an alien ship could be landing in the outfield, and he'd be like, 2-2 pitch outside. It would seem a craft of some sort is descending in the outfield. There are flashing lights and a beam now descending on center field. 3-2 pitch in there for a strike. Like he would probably just keep going and then go back to describing the alien invasion and then catch the next pitch. Like
he has a similar broadcast style that Summerall had.
yes.
You know, with John Madden, and that like slow style, but it still keeps you engaged, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, I what's incredible too is his longevity in that industry. I know it's baseball, but
This is baseball.
it is still hard to follow a game as you get on in years and things like your sight and your hearing deteriorate.
67 years.
It's insane.
67 years. That's like 3 of my lifetimes. I mean, it's like, 67 times however many games are. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He's got to be broadcast. I don't even know what the number is. It's got to be like 7,000 games. Ridiculous.
Oh gosh. Probably. Here. Should we guess math or should we just do the math? I can do the math. We have machines to do the math now. 67 years times, let's just call it, I mean, $1.62, and let's just add in another 100 playoff games to be like generously like low. It's probably way more than that. You're talking 11,000 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid. That was really bad math on my part, but
and that's just regular season, not to mention preseason or any sort of other broadcast things that he's done or been in his career. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of baseball. Multiply this by 9. You're talking about 100,000 innings.
Yes,
of baseball.
So stupid.
Which
it was a great sport, you know, during his most of his career, I'd say.
Well, that's the thing too. What we've lost too is
47 years it was phenomenal, and then the last 20 was not great. That's so stupid.
Between Bill Russell and Vince Scully, you've just lost such a great piece of the history of the game. I mean, all the basketball knowledge that say Bill Russell had. Same with Vince Scully, the things they'd seen and could impart upon others. Somebody who lived it in the trenches and then became a coach and then a broadcaster and did all sorts of other stuff. And Bill Russell broke barriers, and then Vince Scully, somebody who's just an orator and a storyteller for the sport for basically his entire life.
Incredible
stuff.
I'm stuck on the 67 years of broadcasting baseball. I just don't. I don't know how he did.
Christian,
that.
would you even want to? I mean, I don't want to get you fired here, but would you want to do your job for 67 years?
Plead the fifth.
Could you do anything for 67 years other than draw breath?
Probably not. I mean, even if I was sports broadcasting, which I would love to do, right? I don't know if 67 years is a long freaking time.
Well, I mean, what's incredible too is I read it's somewhere on the shelf over here is Al Michaels' biography. And he talked about like growing up, like the Dodgers were his team. He wanted to be the Dodgers broadcaster because he grew up in New York. Then he went out to LA, and then he was doing stuff for their minor league team, which ended up being out in Hawaii. And he was hoping to like, hey, someday like Scully's going to leave or Scully's going to get he's going to go national or something like, and I'll get that job. He eventually gave up. Like in the 90s, he gave up. And then it was like another 30 something years.
I mean, just for reference, like Mike Gorman's been with the Celtics for 41, right? That's a long time. He's been 26 more years in broadcasting. It is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
He saw 18 no-hitters and I think it was 3 perfect games in 67 years of broadcasting.
Crazy. Talk about records that'll never be broken. Nobody's going to do that again. Who
imagine?
Who will baseball be around in 67 years?
We don't know that. I probably won't be here to see it.
Goodness. Episode 10,703 of the 360 Sports Show.
It might just be a field full of aliens. We don't know.
Yeah, it will be the field full of aliens.
Real baseball.
Well, yeah, the true like world championship. Yes, our world versus some other world.
Yeah, MLB versus ET.
Yeah. Goodness. So yeah, wanted to start with those two things, which we did not have a chance to talk about. You know, it's old news. by now, over like 2 weeks old. But missed talking
Still
about
news.
it is still news. Missed talking about both of those last week, so I wanted to
We'll
talk
see
about
more of
both
it
of
too,
those.
because I know the players. I believe all players are going to be wearing a stitch for number 6, and then I believe the Celtics are going to do something more, obviously. But
Yeah.
so
Quickly on that note, how do you feel about afterwards? The Miami Heat are saying they're going to retire number 6 for LeBron James. Isn't that dumb?
yeah, not the best, but
Like, I don't know. Retire Dwayne Wade, right? I get it. Guy you drafted. He was also part of those. He won you a championship, with Shaq and others. But like,
Yeah.
he was a star on the team. And then you got LeBron. Like, yes, those are still championships. But like, are you putting LeBron's number in the rafters? Like,
yeah,
if
I
he
don't
stayed there the rest of his career, maybe.
No, Dwayne Wade is one thing, but I mean it's similar to like Kevin Garnett, kind of.
It's close, but like Garnett was here for 5 years. He's such a like bleed greener, like, you know what I mean? Whereas LeBron's
Only
basically
won
just like a mercenary. He was in Miami, then he went back to Cleveland. Now he's in LA. Like,
That's true. Yeah,
are the Lakers going to retire his number?
we don't know yet.
I mean, the Cavs certainly will, but like, I don't know. Weird. I think that's
Yeah, it
weird.
is strange.
Especially in the wake, like right in the immediate aftermath of the league wants to do something for Bill Russell, and every team, as rightfully as they should, retire number 6 if you haven't already, and do it in honor of Bill Russell. And it's like, now we're going to rush and retire it for LeBron too, who's still active? Like,
Yeah, he's
What?
still playing in the league. That's the weird thing.
bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. So, anyway, we have plenty of other thoughts on plenty of other things. If you want to hop into the comment sections of any of the live streams with your thoughts or comments or questions, you can. And to transition here, we're going to go right to Hot and Not.
It's time for Hot.
You want to talk about hot?
Hot.
Please stop doing that.
Doing what?
Continue. Go ahead.
And Not.
God, is he a moron? Oh my God, he doesn't shut up.
It's so stupid.
Stupid decisions.
Dum-dums. The naughtiest knot of the year.
Oof. Suck fest. Suck sauce.
On the 360 Sports Show.
All right, Christian. Hot and not, ups, downs, goods, bads, pluses, minuses. Lead it off. What was good for you in the last week?
Well, it's preseason football back, so I just went 2 Patriots that, I mean, I don't know how many people actually watched this preseason game, but I just went 2 Patriots that I thought played pretty well. It was a bunch of, younger guys, no first teamers pretty much, with the exception of a few. So Trey Nixon, Sam Roberts, 1 offense, 1 defense, wide receiver, and D tackle. Both had good games. I think there's some pretty decent competition actually for the Patriots. They have a lot of young wide receivers that appear they can play, so it's gonna be interesting. A couple undrafted guys as well that played pretty well.
Yeah. I watched. I guess it's not a knot. It's a gripe somewhere in the middle. The game was not on, at least here in Rhode Island, regular television. You had to go find it on Patriots.com and cast it to your television. I don't know why NFL Network feels the need to like black out home preseason
Who
games.
knows? Yeah.
What?
I think it's more with the
Really
locals.
gonna drive people to the game in the summer? Like, I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. But I was able to watch. I watched the whole thing. We'll talk more about grading this preseason performance and other preseason performances in some more extended NFL talk. I had as a hot rookie from the Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if anybody got to watch Hard Knocks yet. Some people kind of wait for a few episodes to get in, and then they will binge it to catch up. But let me pull this up here so that all can see and listen. This was part of I'm not going to call it's not rookie hazing, but like a lot of teams do these like team building things now, and they get the rookies to all do something. Sometimes it's impersonations, other things. This time it's karaoke. And so just give a listen. This is Aiden Hutchinson doing a little Michael Jackson.
She was more like the beauty queen in the movie scene. I said, don't mind what you do to me. I am the one. On the floor, in the round, Every head turned and eyes dream being the one. People always told me. Mother always told me, be careful what you love. Be careful what you do.
Just great. I mean,
I
one.
think you missed. I think you missed the hot in this clip though,
Oh, the guy taking his shirt off and chucking it.
and the no look catch from the guy in the yellow sweatshirt. That's the real hot.
That is a real hot. I mean, so many things. He's like kind of beatboxing. He's laying down his own beat there. He's doing one man band, one man show. Aiden Hutchinson. That was awesome. What was great too is that it got everybody else. Like they all jumped in with him and were all fired up. So that is, I mean, sometimes, you know, a lot of those things you see somebody get up there and like absolutely bomb, and it's one of those like, oh my God, I can't watch.
Oh yeah, no.
That was awesome. That was fantastic. That is like what you hope for whenever you know, a coach proposes, oh, we're going to do this, you know, as like a team building exercise. Like that's like, oh, on fire.
I mean, I definitely haven't watched this through and through, but the Lions have been entertaining from what I have seen. So
yeah,
that's what they want. So.
So that is hot. In the comment section, Nick says, "Hot for me is Edwin Diaz's closer entrance." Ooh, let's see. We'll pull that up after we get through the knots as we transition. But I'll find that while you talk, Christian. Give me what is not for you from the past week.
Well, again, I went football. Just staying in form here since we're getting into the preseason now, going towards the regular season. But yeah, I just went the Patriots. Whole number one unit not playing in this preseason game. To me, that's a bad sign. Maybe I'm overstating it. You know, guys like Zach Wilson got hurt, and maybe they just don't. They're hiding something. I don't know. But they didn't play Mac Jones. They didn't play any of their number one unit guys, and to me, that's a bad sign because it shows they're not ready. So I did not like that. We'll see how much they play in 2 and 3. But yeah, I don't know, that whole unit not playing is just not. It's kind of a red flag for me.
Yeah, I don't. They need the reps. The offense needs live reps.
So do the coaches,
and so do the coaches. Yeah. I don't. I understand. I understood maybe not playing Mac Jones. If you've been worried about the offensive line and you're worried about like first game live action. We've seen what's happened in some other places before. Like maybe game 1 is you don't want Mac to get put out there and like, you know, get injured on the first play of preseason because somebody whiffs on a block and in this new scheme and there goes your season. I can understand not playing Mac. Get these linemen out there. Like they need to work together. Like play callers. Maybe not divide it up like with half the game one way and half like whoever the guy's going to be, give them all the reps. It's going to be different this week. You have the joint practices, and then you'll have a game.
Which nobody sees, so...
Hopefully we see the ones. I mean, I don't know. I'll agree with you.
I'm waiting for the preseason to go away totally.
Well, because I don't know how to judge anything. I said this to you off the air before we started. It's like, I come out of that game saying, like, I don't know if I learned. All I learned was that we don't know who the play caller is. That's all we've learned. And we didn't know that before, but now like we know that like we really know we don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't know who the play caller is. Yep. Which is again alarming to me. I won't know if somebody's a good play caller or a bad play caller until we see the number one team out there against like another number one team. And also with real stakes, because the Patriots in the preseason are not going to be like really game planning it up. You know, all you'd want to do is go make sure, like, hey, is the operation sound? Are we lining up correctly? Is the communication fluid? Are we making our appropriate reads? I can't judge any of that off of last week. I don't know if I'll be able to judge it if they don't have a lot of number one reps, if they split up everybody again, and if we have 2 play callers, I joke this is what happens when Nick Haley is calling plays on Friday for Mac Jones, and we'll really be all in confused land. I don't know how much more we're gonna learn in the preseason. I'm with you. We won't be able to judge any of this. Colin in the comment section, guys, come on, they're going through a process. We'll see. Are we supposed to trust the process here? Is that what we've come to in Patriots land? It's not just in Bill we trust, it's trust the process. Yikes. For my not, I had a couple. I don't need to show one. It was just kind of funny. Deshaun Watson, who obviously is going to be forever on the not list. We're expecting a full season suspension to be coming down the pipe for him shortly here from the NFL because they are not satisfied. And they have the legal grounds to really make whatever decision they want. Article 46 and all that jazz. But he did play in the preseason, and his first throw was a hysterical airmail, which was great. So that was a not for him, but I guess really a hot for everybody else watching. Soldier Field was an absolute disaster. I'm gonna share this. Here we go. Look at that. That is before the game. Oh, can I blow this up? Let me see. Here we go. That is before the game. I don't know what they were doing. What did you say, Christian? Are they farming out on Soldier Field?
They just put a plow out there and just tried to take down a whole thing of baling wheat or something.
So the field totally ripped to shreds before the game even starts.
Weird.
And so this is from JC Treader, verified. The NFL said that this field met minimum testing standards. We clearly need to reevaluate what is an acceptable surface for players to compete on. We need new testing metrics looking at the performance and safety of every field. The NFL can and should do better. Yeah, I mean, talk about an injury waiting to happen. If I was showing up for this game and I was ready to play my ones, I'd be like, never mind. What is that? I want to know what was happening on that field beforehand. Like you said, it looks like they either practiced on it, or they had a concert out there, or maybe they were farming. They had a horse convention out on the field,
or just there was just a bunch of kids with metal cleats on scuffing up the field. I don't know.
Yeah, they let a JV football game happen in there the night before and didn't do anything. So obviously this is the argument for synthetic surfaces. I love the grass. Grass is actually safer, but not when the field looks like that. So
it shouldn't look like that. So.
It should not look like that. We do have, and we can share this. We do have. I don't know. Have you already seen this, Christian? The Edwin Diaz. I'd almost forgotten about this.
Yeah, I have seen it.
This is great. This is great. I'll hide this again, and we'll maximize this. So we will tweet out all this on our on the 360 Sports Show for those of you who are our podcast listeners and want to go check some of this stuff out for themselves. We'll tweet out the hot and not stuff. But this is Edwin Diaz, his new entrance song. I love it.
Oh yeah, no, it's phenomenal.
And they got the Mets mascots playing around with the trumpets. I mean, the trumpets get everybody fired up. I think it's just so cool too because it's in a playoff game or something.
Oh yeah.
You're wondering okay, who are they gonna go to here in the seventh inning? It's a big spot, and all of a sudden, they're like, oh, they're bringing them out. It would, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, that entrance is prime for big moments in the playoffs. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah. Is it also a problem that an entrance song is the most exciting part of a baseball game?
Well, not only that, but leading up to what should be the final inning when Diaz comes in, that's the best part. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of sad, but this is where we are.
Those
give me an entrance and one inning. I'm good to go.
Yes. So those are our hots and nots overall from the past week. We'll talk a little bit more here about the Pats preseason. The decision not to play starters. All I'll say is it's over with, and I don't know. What I saw out there looked good. I liked what I saw from Zappe and at least what they were trying to do offensively. It's tough to judge if stuff is successful or not when it's second and fourth stringers.
Way too hard to tell, yeah.
But it didn't look awful. I'll say that. It's not like it looked like miserable and inept, which is what I've seen some Patriots preseasons look like, even when the second and third stringers get in there. But this week is critical. Like, I want to see the ones, and I want to see the ones for a while. And if we don't, then I really don't know like what we're doing here. How these guys are going to get ready for the season.
I mean, you said it. I don't know. I mean, it's just they have two coordinators, supposedly. They have a bunch of guys that are doing horribly in practice. Too many wide receivers. You're going to have to get rid of someone there. It just seems like a cluster that's going on down there right now. And I'll tell you what, if they come out like 0-5 or something and they just look horrible, I'm starting the fire bill train, because it's just like you hire these two bums that have been here before that have never coached offense. And this was the plan for a second-year quarterback who's supposed to have an upward trajectory. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the Patriots are doing right now, and we'll be honest. We're honest here on the 360 Sports Show. They're doing what we make fun of other teams for doing all the time, about not promoting from within, about changing your offensive systems from year to year. I mean, how long can Bill play these games when you don't have Tom Brady, right? And they're playing games with titles and who's really doing what and trying to be too school for cool. How long will it last, right? Winning will make all this sort of like, I don't even call it animosity from fans and the media. I think it's more frustration and confusion because like people do trust Bill. But you want to see a plan. You want to see like a sense of direction. And without that, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? And if it starts out bad, like you said, like start shoveling the coal into the fire bill train, that thing's going to gain a lot of steam.
It's also like he's lost some trust here in the last couple of years. The Cam Newton thing didn't make sense. Last year, they were looking pretty good, and then they faltered again. Couldn't stop Josh Allen in the playoffs. So here you go again. I mean, it's been 2 seasons now, under 500, a little bit over, make the playoffs. You're supposed to keep going up. It's not you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back here, and go. What's inappropriate? 5-13, 5-12, whatever.
I think if they go 500, Bill's safe. I think if they have like a 5-win season, I could totally see Kraft pulling the plug, especially if it's the reasoning is like, and they'll do their homework internally. If the reasoning is like players are saying like, this coaching staff's a mess, he's letting his kids do everything. I mean, like they're great kids, but like and great people, but like they're not experienced enough coaches. Like there's guys that had been here that like we would love to keep here, but they're gonna leave. Gerard Mayo. Right? That could be a guy that like would be a great next head coach. But like is he going to be able to get past the nepotism thing? Like is Bill just grooming his own kids to take over for him? Which if they're qualified and they're good enough, sure, but like do we feel that yet? No. I certainly don't think so. There's been guys who the games they play with titles and pay and all this other stuff. You maybe could have kept around here and could be grooming his heir apparents. I mean, they paid Josh McDaniels a lot of money these last few years to keep him around, and he finally said, "I'm going to Las Vegas."
I just wonder at what point does he lose the players though? Because if you start 1-5 again, there's these 2 coaches that have no idea what they're doing on offense. Mac Jones is supposed to be on the up, and he's going backwards. It's just at what point do you lose the room and lose all trust in your team?
Oh, they start 1-5. They start 0-4, Christian. I don't think they pull out of it like they did last year.
No shot.
I don't think so. Not with their schedule.
It's gonna look ugly. It's gonna go real bad if they start out 1-5 or something.
Yeah.
0-4, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. And here's what I worry about that. Aside from a rooting interest in this season, I said this before. If they start 0-4 and it goes sideways, and then say you do fire Bill, or Bill's told, listen, you need to bring in legitimate people to be coordinators in here. Like, we can't, no more of your friends, no more of your kids. Like, we need to, like, build something sustainable and act like, make it work. Then what are you doing again to Mac Jones? If whatever happens, like, if it's bad at all or just not good enough, and there's another,
Three coordinators in 3 years.
Now, like, what are we doing? And so that's what I really, really worry about. And like I said, this is the stuff we make fun of bad teams for all the time. The Patriots right now are, like, just sitting on the fence. And, like, the first few games have to go a certain way for that path to, like, gain some momentum upward. Or the circumstances could just make it go completely the other way. And in the NFL, when it goes the other way, you don't go, like, from 13-3 to 10-6 to 9-7 to 8 and to whatever. Obviously 17 game schedule now. It goes like you went 13-3, then you go 10-6. Now you're 3-13, 3-14. Like it drops fast because, like you said, there's not enough of these Patriot way guys left anymore who have been here, who have really won, who could maybe grind through it and find a way. What's the mental toughness of the group going to be if it starts poorly again? One of those guys, like I just said, Patriot way guys, who's not going to be here anymore, James White announced his retirement last week.
Who was a really, really good Patriot way guy.
Exactly. Integral to the success of this second part of the dynasty. Obviously, his performance in Super Bowl 51 is just legendary and all time. I think the guy had 0 career fumbles, I believe.
He had a great career. It was only 8 years, but that in the NFL is pretty good.
For a running back, too. Yeah. Even a pass-catching back. The average career is like 2.5 years. Yeah. Not surprised at the retirement. I mean, everybody kind of thought the injury when it happened last year, this could be a career ender. He came back, gave it a try. Don't know whether it's, is he actually done, or did he look and say, this year's going to suck. Do I really want to play out a year?
Yeah, didn't Ivan Fears retire and it's someone else now?
Yeah, yep. Ivan Fears is no longer there, too.
So, he probably looked one look at Joe Judge and said, retirement.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. No, he probably didn't do that. But, I mean, he's probably just beat up. They have plenty of running backs, so it's not a huge deal in terms of, running back standpoint. But he's a great guy in the room. He's also a perfect guy for, like, a safety net. Brady used him like that all the time. So not having that guy is going to be a bit of a rocky one. I would have loved him for Mac Jones last year, and coming into this year. So we'll see.
Yeah. What's crazy to think about too, and we'll find out as the season goes on, the genealogy of that third down back for the Patriots is crazy. Kevin Falk, then you had Danny Woodhead take over that spot for a few years. There was some overlap there with Falk's last 2 years because Falk got hurt. And then it's who's going to replace Kevin Falk? Well, Danny Woodhead. Danny Woodhead is going to be a free agent. Who's going to replace? Got Shane Vereen. Shane Vereen takes that spot. Oh, my God, who's going to take Shane Vereen's spot? You had Deion Lewis for a year. Then James White. Now who's going to be that guy? I think we all thought it might have been J.J. Taylor, people thought. Not him. Last year, I mean, Stevenson kind of took over that role. Brandon Bolden became the third down back. But, that's placeholding. Who will become the legitimate third down back who really fills that role as effective as those names we just rattled off did? I don't know yet. And who do they need that same type of guy? What's this offense going to look like?
They're changing the offense. So.
I don't know. But just another guy, another cog in that Patriot machine that is no longer there. That will no longer just keep a level, the room level.
The nuts and bolts are coming out of the wheels of the car here, and Bill is that structure that's hanging on.
We'll see.
And also, yeah, that's coming apart too, but we'll see. The engine is smoking in Foxborough.
Colin in the comment section says Kraft wanted Mayo as future head coach. And then he also says Pierre Strong Jr. as the third down back.
You see that, yeah.
For sure.
You have some good running backs. Unfortunately, they don't have much blocking for said running backs. So, yeah.
I will say, now, what do you think about the whole, kind of to continue the preseason versus regular season talk? People are emboldened by Zach Wilson getting hurt in the Jets' first preseason game, which is so the Jets. What did I say? That little celebration last week with AJ in their final green-white scrimmage. This is probably going to be the highlight of your year. And in your first preseason game, your number one quarterback who had a rocky season last year before getting hurt is now hurt for 4 weeks.
Got a break though. It's not a full year, but still. Not great.
Does that give any credence to this? Oh, don't play important players in the preseason.
I mean, maybe a little bit. I could see it. Like, they have the joint practices now that a lot of guys like. So I could see it, but also, yeah, I mean, it's really tough because guys get injured all the time. I don't know if it makes a difference preseason, regular season. Would you rather it happen in the regular season? I think you'd rather happen not at all, right? So you can't really avoid these things. Maybe 2 joint practices, 1 preseason game, 2 preseason games. I don't know how they kind of go about it, but it definitely gives credence to guys not wanting to play as much in the preseason. I mean, we saw here Julian Edelman tore his ACL, I think, or something one year. So those things can happen, especially in the NFL. I mean, it's just
there's no magical protection now for game 2. It's gonna happen
with the snow cones on their head. I don't know what the heck they're called, but the linebackers are wearing those new helmet attachments for safety. But your knees, your ankles, your Achilles, that stuff is going to be. I mean, that's just exposed, especially with this turf. We were just mentioning the grass. This turf nowadays is it's so bad.
What are you talking about? Snow cone attachment?
What the heck are they called? Linebackers are wearing something on their helmets.
Are you talking about the padding thing,
yeah.
on the out, that goes over the shell on the outside of the helmet?
It looks like a
looks like a rugby helmet.
Looks like a tinfoil hat. Yeah,
a tinfoil hat. Now I don't know.
Yeah, the padding. I mean, it looks like the one of those things that you put on a pull-out couch.
What?
One of the egg things, and you put it on top of the helmet.
Oh, okay. Thing you put on a pull-out couch. Hold on.
Yeah, the padding.
I'll blow up this. I'll share this. This is what you're talking about, right? D. This, right? Like that? That
Yes.
pad? Okay, that's what we're talking about. I forget. Yeah, there is a name for those. But they're not going to wear those in games. They're just using these in practice. I didn't know. I don't think they're using these in games.
I doubt it, but maybe in the future. That's
there's been people saying that for a long time. Like the padding and helmets should be on the outside, or both to help relieve. Bottom line, it's not good. I think we all understand now. It is not good for your health and well-being. No matter how much padding, no matter how big the helmet is, to bash your head repeatedly against anything. A wall, a car, another person.
What are you doing in your spare time? Bashing into cars and stuff?
I run against traffic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Live on the edge. Your steering wheel, you stop short, bang, you have a seatbelt for a reason. You don't want to whack in airbags. You don't want to whack your head.
What I'm saying, my only point is you can maybe protect your head more with these new technology, right? But your knees and stuff, I just don't know what you can do for stuff like that in preseason, regular season. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely nothing you can do. If your ligament is gonna go, a ligament is gonna go, right? And a guy, if he gets hurt being tackled, that's just the game. You can't avoid that. You can't protect people for forever from injury.
They tackle out of it.
Well, yeah. Who knows, Christian? We may get there. Eventually. We may get there eventually. So, Da 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 da. Last thing I wanted to bring up. Actually, we did have an email. This is from Pete and Gansett talking about the Patriots. And I think his predictions, all it says is, face it, Tom, Gronk, and Randy ain't walking through the door.
He's not wrong.
Take that as you will in terms of how he feels this season is going to go, and what the fans should expect.
I mean, Tom might not be walking through the doors in Tampa Bay. We don't know yet. So,
what do you think about that? We kind of touched on this last week, and now there's like even more rumor and speculation. Do you think like Giselle really because now like you've heard some stuff from like some players that like it's this personal situation. I don't know. Are they just saying that because
also the tabloid magazines are all about it.
Also, if do they have to like kind of make this story up? Because if he just like decided to walk out on training camp and take 2 weeks off and take a trip to Italy, like the league would like take umbrage with that. Like they want like you have an obligation to be here and be working, or is that on the team? Like if the team doesn't care, the league doesn't care.
Yeah,
I don't know. So then, if there really is, if the team doesn't care, I don't know. I guess maybe there is something to this then. If enough people are saying like we're praying for Tom, like I don't know, is Giselle actually giving him some sort of ultimatum here?
I know.
I mean, it's been going on like
with that Fox contract.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
He's gonna be on the road anyway.
It's not getting any. You want him to retire and immediately be traveling every weekend? He'll be home less. He will be home less.
Giselle's not gonna be happy. She cannot be thrilled right now.
I don't know. Let's check. We should have a soundbite for this. We'll check what Twitter has to say of all places, and we're just gonna look up Giselle.
What a source.
Let's just see what Twitter has to say when I look for Giselle. And it doesn't look like there is much right now. No new news. All the same old news. All the same old news.
Yeah, nothing. I don't see anything.
Yeah.
They're either somewhere remote like Costa Rica or Tom Brady is in like his Tampa like second house out of the main house. Who knows?
Yeah, Devin White said this. He's a human. At the end of the day, he's got personal problems going on. We're praying for whatever he's got going on as a human being. We hope everybody else does too.
Yeah, that makes it sound like something's going on.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, though, it's like...
I mean, the guy retired once, kind of.
He retired, went home, and was like...
Remember that time he said, I want to spend more time with my family, and then after like 3 weeks, he was like, yeah, I'm coming back to football.
Yeah. And that's you're so right, though, about the Fox thing. It's like, it's not... He ain't going to be home anymore. Right now, at least he'll go to practice and then, like, come home. They'll have games. Half of them will be at home. Half of them will be on the road. But 80% of the nights in the year, he will be, like, coming back home.
He signed a 10-year.
When you're on the national crew for broadcasting, you're not home. You're in Tampa 1 week. You get there on Wednesday. You're there for practices. You're there for prep. The game happens on Sunday. Sunday night, you hit the plane. You fly to the next city.
She wants him home more often than not. So he signed a 10-year deal with her. That doesn't bode well.
Oh, goodness grief. So, anyway. Last thing. Another retirement. This time announcing this is going to be the final year for Serena Williams. Obviously, another all-time great. Changed the game of women's tennis and brought it to new heights. I mean, she's had over a 20-something year career.
23 singles women's Grand Slams, yeah.
Unbelievable. The longevity. Now, she had some strong words in her retirement. She wrote a little essay and was very, very blunt in it. And these are just some snippets. Believe me, I never wanted to have to choose between tennis and a family. If I were a guy, I wouldn't be writing this because I'd be out there playing and winning while my wife was doing the physical labor of expanding our family. Maybe I'd be more of a Tom Brady if I had that opportunity.
Yeah,
She's not wrong.
100%.
And, how will this affect the sports world on the women's side? Because this has been an ongoing issue about the inequity of this, that, in this case, she's a female athlete who has to choose between having a family and having her career, basically. Whereas that expectation is not placed upon men, obviously, because men can't bear children. Right? I mean, that's the obvious thing. But is it fair that that's basically what it comes down to for female athletes? If you choose to have kids and take time off, and it's like you get left in the dust.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what she's saying for sure. I don't think it should be that way. I mean, if you look at women's tennis or even tennis as a whole, Serena Williams literally changed the game, and she's an all-time great. But I do think, like, if you think about tennis as a sport, people wouldn't go to Serena Williams. Like, they'd probably go Sampras, Federer, those guys all first, just naturally, because that's unfortunately the way it works in terms of what people will say on Twitter and whatever. Everybody has an opinion. But if you look at Serena Williams' career as a whole, she stands toe-to-toe with those guys. So she should be in the conversation. Whether obviously she had a tough decision. She could have won more, or she could have started a family, and she chose the family. And it's obviously not an easy spot, but at the end of the day, in my eyes, she's still one of the all-time greats, if not the greatest women's tennis player.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think, obviously she's probably leaving gas in the tank here to walk away. But what she already had accomplished is incredible. I guess the thing is, she's luckily in a position where she has been the best player in the world on the female side and has made so much money and is probably comfortable. I guess maybe she's speaking to, she also said this, basically this was the title of the article. Serena Williams' blunt retirement essay is a warning sign to all women. You'll never have it all. This is Serena Williams, who's at the absolute pinnacle. True. And is talking about how, listen, this is unfair and this is going to be tough and these are the choices I have to make. Everyone on down below that has got it has it worse because, how does somebody who's trying to even get to her level get there if they're in their late teens, early 20s? And that's when most people are, in your 20s, late 20s, early 30s, thinking about starting a family and stuff like that. And you're not as good as Serena Williams. How do you pursue just being good enough to be a pro if it's really not economically viable? It's a problem,
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. We don't have answers here. It's just...
Oh, yeah, no,
the discussion just needs to keep happening.
Yeah, topic is good and it needs to happen, but in terms of answers, I don't know. I don't have any good ideas. And that's just not for this. That's for anything. So
you said it before I could, Christian.
I don't think anybody wants to hear what I have to say.
That's not true. We have loyal listeners. Am I the only one who is so sick of Tom Brady? Guy is such a tool. He's getting unbearable for me. That's Nick in the comment section. See, I think this is that you as a football fan or is that you as a New England Patriots fan?
Yeah.
This is... And this is what I think Tom...
If he was on your team winning Super Bowls, you wouldn't care.
This is what Tom, I think, has to figure out and will figure out more about Boston is that, like, the further away we get from the glory days, and especially while he's still playing, this is what's going to happen. However, I also do totally agree. He is a little... he was insufferable with some of his stuff in his last, 4 or 5 years, with the Patriots, now the TB12 stuff, and then all concussion water and all these other.
Newsflash though, Tom Brady was always kind of a weirdo. He was just winning games.
Yes.
So therein lies the difference. He's not on your team winning games anymore.
Yes, exactly.
He's always a bit of a kook, I think.
A kook. I don't know. It would seem the rest of the NFL world though is still enamored with him because anything the guy does, everybody wants to
and
stop
the tabloids. He's a great story.
and pay
He
attention.
really is, but he definitely is a tool. I'm not going to take that away from him.
No. Lots of stories today. This is from MSN. NFL reacts to Gisele's message for Tom Brady. What is this? This was new. What message?
Are we starting like a soap podcast now?
Well, I'm just like, I see all these. It's all clickbait.
Drive to New York. Go to a magazine stand if you want to do that.
Go to a magazine. Do they have magazine stands? Did we get rid of those? Did they bring back magazine stands after COVID lockdowns?
100% they do. I
Goodness.
guarantee you one of them says, Brady, Giselle divorce? ? Guaranteed. At least one.
Little
On the rocks again.
on the rocks in the bay, something like that. Rocky waters ahead for Tampa Bay quarterback. I don't know. We could go on, but that is going to do it for the show this week. Thank you to everybody who tuned in and watch this live. We are live Mondays or Tuesdays, starting at 7:30. Check out and follow our social media platforms to get those updates and subscribe to check out the live version of the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And you can also take us to go as a podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just subscribe through Sounder FM if you like. And if you're one of our podcast listeners and want to get on the fun, you, as well as others who have already done so, can email us the360sportshow@gmail.com. You can do that throughout the week, and we will get to your emails during the next show. So without further ado, Christian, I believe that is everything. So we can sign on off. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.